I'm Connie Bolta. I am based in Washington, D.C. I'm a AAAS Science Policy Fellow. It was just a year ago that I was in the research community at Penn State University and was inspired to work with Belmont Forum because I was really interested in bridging that gap between research and societal impact, and wanting to help other researchers in that journey. And then so transdisciplinary research seems to be a pretty awesome mechanism for bridging that gap between research and policy. So welcome. Thank you for registering. I took the liberty of taking one of the columns of your registrations, which was your area of expertise, and I created a word cloud. So this is the expertise in this Zoom room right now, at least the ones that were registered by a couple days ago. So you can see that we have a lot of different areas of expertise here, from economics, engineering, risk management, seismology, marine, water. It really looks like we've got a good representation of people who are looking to prepare for an Oceans 2 CRA application and or a resilience application. Those are our two active calls for multilateral funding. So welcome, all of you. What brings you here is transdisciplinary research. Whether you've done it in the past or you're interested in doing it in the future, we're hoping that today and then our future capacity building activities helps you feel more comfortable and prepared. Now, transdisciplinary research covers a wide range of practices. We recognize fully that it is not a common term. There are other terms that kind of align with the transdisciplinary space. You might be working with terms or familiar with co-creation or co-production, co-design, co-implementation, co-co. You see in the co's here, it means collaboration in all of these activities. You also, when you think of transdisciplinary research, we're thinking about networking, which you're going to haphazardly get to do today when you're in your breakout rooms. But in your consortiums that are transdisciplinary in nature, you're solving problems together, you're bringing people together, and you're embracing knowledge diversity and building bridges between science and society, and doing that through knowledge exchange. So, and empowering local communities. Again, that's one of the major driving forces behind me joining Belmont Forum. And just a year ago, I was in the research community as I really wanted to see this research translate into societal impact. The words keep going on: sustainability, innovation. And all of this is really part of the Belmont Challenge. We want to support international transdisciplinary research, providing knowledge for, let me move my screen so I can see everything, providing knowledge for understanding, mitigating, and adapting to global environmental change. Our collaborative research actions are essentially TD research collaborations that are international. We have different regions and countries as a mandate to work together, and different disciplines. We also require funders to learn to work together by supporting the researchers they host in these consortiums. And all of this is under the umbrella. These different funders, disciplines, and these different countries are co-creating and co-developing and interacting with societal actors throughout the process. We've learned that this isn't always easy. There are challenges that need to be overcome. And so some of these include ethical protocols, making sure that those are in place. Who owns the data and how? Making sure that we're balancing power, relationships among the teams and stakeholders, and using different ways of communication and dissemination so that everyone is working with the same language. Um, So how do we overcome these challenges, these little rectangles? We can, by focusing on problem solving with scientific rigor and inclusivity, we can overcome these challenges. We bring people together through, their needs and baselines and making sure that the jargon isn't so heavy that it can be understood by non-scientists. And negotiation. So there's really diplomacy skills that you either come into the transdisciplinary research team with, or you develop along the way. And all of those skills are kind of going to come just with experience and practice, mutual learning, and some interdisciplinary debates. Um, Trust building. So in our um, in transdisciplinary, you not only have challenges, but you have opportunities, right? It's kind of like they flow together, the yin and the yang. These opportunities include permanent sharing of preliminary results with stakeholders, integration of different knowledge systems, stakeholder analysis, good and permanent communication among all actors. Um, you're following what can benefit all partners involved. And there's an opportunity to really feed your heart and your soul. We follow what increases our motivation, and you're constantly getting that permanent stakeholder feedback, right? So that along the way, because it's through co-creation, what is relevant to them, how your research is going to be used for societal impact. So, speaking of challenges and opportunities, uh, we at the Belmont Forum have designed a card game, the TD card game. And this game is a safe space for learning from experiences. It's not a traditional academic space. The objective is to share insights that can be used to lay the groundwork for future and existing projects. We're going to divide into small groups, so 5 to 6 people. Looking at the number of people here, we are definitely going to be in groups of 6. I think Gabby's going to be creating the breakout rooms. There might be a couple that are 7. And each group is going to receive a random mix of 6 cards, and those are going to have 3 opportunities and 3 challenges on them. Well, excuse me, the 6 cards. Of those 6 cards, there will be 1 card that presents a topic, and that could be an opportunity. Another card could be a challenge that you get to discuss in your breakout group. Okay, so how to play the game. Once you get your group, then you can scan your code. So the first player is going to select a card and read it out loud. And this first player is voluntary, right? It's just somebody who reads the first card and is like, I have a story to tell, whether it's personal or someone else's or an observation. You do not need to be in the transdisciplinary research space yet to participate. Um, for example, people have asked me how I got into diplomacy, like science diplomacy. And I thought about it and I was like, Most people feel like they're not in it until they're trained. And I was like, I've been doing diplomacy since I was like 10 years old. I'm the oldest of four kids. I was started babysitting at 10 years old and breaking up fights or helping my siblings negotiate, like who gets the remote control to the television or, making sure that there was kind of peacekeeping in the house when I was in charge. Um, Anyways, so for example, you can take your own little personal anecdotes from your work life and bring those into the game. So whoever volunteers first to tell a story, it gets to pick the next card. Um, they're going to say, "Okay, card 5 in the deck." And you'll share it up on your screen, and then take a moment, right? Give people space to think, and then someone hopefully volunteers. And if we have 6 cards and 6 people in a breakout room, essentially all cards will get a speaker. Okay, so everyone in the group is going to get a chance to speak. I'm jumping down to the last um, line in this slide. Again, let's do some networking and get to introduce each other. So do a round of introductions. You're going to pull up your group set of cards. Someone volunteers to speak first based off of the first card in the deck. No more than 3 minutes. Okay. So just a 3-minute story. Actually, you think of a 3-minute thesis, like 3 minutes can actually feel like a long time. You can get into the meat of things. So, yeah, so that volunteer is going to pick the next card and then again, allow some space to think. Someone's going to volunteer to speak next based off of the cards chosen. Again, another 3-minute kind of story to tell or lesson learned. And then that volunteer picks the next card and someone new volunteers. So you see there's kind of a rhythm here. Again, just to get your juices flowing, don't hesitate to share stories if you think any of the cards apply to you, even if you never called yourself a transdisciplinary researcher. If you have been inspired by these stories, challenges, and opportunities, you too have stories to tell. And feel free in your breakout room to tell about your backstory, details of your challenges and opportunities so that we all can learn. And seize this opportunity to look at your own path through a new lens, relating the phrases on the cards to how you would incorporate these experiences for crafting a better TD project at the end. Your cards are going to look like this. So this one says group 4 TD cards. If we have 8 groups, group 8, you're probably going to get group 4. Group 7, you're going to get group 3. We're just going to make this work, but we want to make sure that you're in this nice small breakout room so that everyone has a chance to speak. So you'll notice the first card in group 4's TD cards has a challenge. Miscommunication between different stakeholders in the group. So someone will volunteer to speak to this one. So I tell my 3-minute story, and then I look at the rest of these options and, feel free to look through and be like, okay, this one, I want to hear someone's story about this. So I'm going to pick for the next volunteer to talk about a story or give a story about learning to reduce jargon. And then, for example, Aunt Teresa thinks about it and she's like, yeah, I've had to do that before. All right, I'll speak to this one. And Aunt Teresa, my friend and colleague, will unmute and volunteer herself. After Aunt Teresa tells her 3-minute story, let's say she's looking through the cards, she's flipping through, and she's like, ooh, yeah, I would love to hear someone's story about not knowing how to work with conflict. And then we can go from, and that's kind of the rhythm. Okay. Thank you all for engaging. I know doing the TD game in person is different than trying to do it online, but we tried to do it online, and at least I think most of you got something out of it. At least knowing some people, sharing some challenges, knowing you're not alone in those challenges, and maybe even getting some resources to help overcome those. And then I also heard in a breakout room just a nice spin on while there's like a language barriers, changing that challenge into an opportunity to grow and to learn a new language or be more comfortable in that language. So I appreciated that optimism or that positive outlook. I want to share. I also heard in a breakout room that what's going to be most valuable is when it comes to writing the proposal and having support during that. Let me share my screen real quick. So we have two opportunities coming up. September 2nd, a theory of change training. So increasing your capacity to co-create and using a systems approach. Um, Having that theory of change framework, what was and before our grant writing session was on purpose. So we really were thinking about how you have to have a systems based approach and a theory of change framework to effectively prepare your consortium, who you engage with in terms of your community outreach, and writing the proposal. I will be doing the grant writing proposal on September 10th. And at that grant writing session, just to give you an idea, I am going to actually show you a successful proposal from Belmont Forum. I've removed the personally identifying information. But this is a proposal that had an excellent, coordination plan, data management plan, research that was cited and relevant. So you're going to get to see firsthand an excellent top tier proposal that was recommended for funding from the Belmont Forum. And hopefully that's really nice and tangible and something you can use when you're crafting your own. So mark your calendars. Actually, if you scan that code right there, it'll take you to the registration page. So you can register for that session if you haven't already. We are past our time. Thank you for staying online 3 more minutes. And those two opportunities are just the near term. You'll notice on that registration page that we have several other ones that are coming up. So we hope to see you all again. And feel free to spread the word as well and share the links with other colleagues or potential collaborators. We would love to see more societal actors in this Zoom room, right? Because it'd be good to hear from them and what their needs are and their perspectives. So start building that consortium, if you will, and send them links to register. Thank you again, and we hope to see you in the coming weeks.